so what can happen is, for those of you who may want to watch this again, if you have questions, you guys can go ahead and watch this. So again, going to this first problem, when we're looking at the relationship for a function, the domain has to be unique. So cloud going to -5 is perfectly fine. And sky and moon don't work because you can see that they go to 2 different values. Do you guys see that? So that fails. In this example, this also fails because -5 is going to more than one number. So let me do an example that would work for you guys, just so you guys could see. So if I had a domain and I had a range and I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, and this went to 5, 6, 7, 8. If 1 went to 8 and 2 went to 6 and 3 went to 5 and 4 went to 7, this would be a function, and the reason it's a function is because you can see that each of the domains is going to a unique range. Does that make sense? So that is a function. Another example that would be a function is if I had, let's say I had 1, 2, 3, and if this is the domain and this is the range, if this went to 4 and 1 went to 4 and 2 went to 4 and 3 went to 4, that is a function. So the range can have multiple domains going to it. That's okay. The domain can go to unique ranges. That's okay. But you cannot have the domain going to 2 different numbers. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, cool. It's important that makes sense to you guys. Okay, now, so let's look at this bottom one. Now, again, they're doing, the domain is going to be the first letter in the parentheses, and the range will be the second letter in the parentheses. So then my domain in this example is going to be F, R, B, and N, right? It's these guys. Then the range is going to be N, there's N, R, and N. So F is going to N, R is going to N, B is going to R, and N is going to N. Now, is this a function or not? What do you guys think?
I would say yeah, because all the domains are going to different, I mean, they all have their own individual lines.
Correct. Yes, that's all that matters. Is the domain going to one, if it has one line coming off of it, that's perfectly fine. This is a function. Okay?
Got it.
In the next one, we have -6, 2, -5, and then we have -5. And so we've got our range is going to be S and X, right? So -6 goes to S, 2 goes to S, -5 goes to X, and -5 goes to S. Is this a function?
No, because -5 is going to S and X.
That's correct. So it's no, because -5 here causes us an issue. Does that help? So this is something that you guys will see on the exam, and you guys can, I think this will help you better understand how these functions go. All right, let's go on to number 2. So then in number 2 here, now we're looking at functions in a different way. And so we're going to look at a vertical line test, and so I'm going to do a bunch of little vertical lines for you. So here, did we hit the dot more than once? Clearly it's no. Here, nope. Here, nope. And here, nope. So that tells me that it is a function. Okay? Let's look here. Did it hit it in more than one spot?
Yes.
Yes, so that means this is not a function. So here, the only place we need to be concerned with are here. It's the only place where we have the potential for 2 dots, but the open circle there means there's only one spot where it's hitting it, right? And so this is a function. All we're trying to do here is do the vertical line test. If we look here, is there anywhere that it's not going to work? It looks like it's fine, right? So this is a function. Okay, here. Is that a function?
No, it hits it twice.
It hits twice, so it doesn't work. And same thing here, right? It's going to hit twice, so that is not a function. Is there any questions on these?
I feel like it took me a couple tries to understand, like with and the circles was one of them, the squiggly line. I was like, I'm confused, but that makes the most sense. It's easy, I guess.
Yeah. Once you look at the vertical line test for these graphs, it becomes pretty straightforward. But, I mean, I understand, and I apologize for last week and all the technical stuff. I had done some updates on my computer and ended up having issues, and so I was trying to communicate with you guys via my phone, but it's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
So, but I got it resolved, so we'll be good going forward. Okay, let's look at the next one. So in this next example, and your test will be almost identical to this, it's just going to be different numbers. So you guys should be all right. So in this example, it says Lisa wants to save $600 to buy a TV. She saves $18 a week. The amount A that she still needs after W weeks is given by the following function. So we're given this function to use, right? And they want us to answer these 2 questions. If Lisa still owes $280 or $258, how many more weeks has she been saving? How many weeks has she been saving? So we can look at this, right? If she still owes that much money, what we're going to do is find out how many weeks she needs to get to that amount. So if she still owes $258 and she's saving $18 a week, we're going to go with this, and then we're going to divide. So we should get 258 divided by 18. She still owes that much. Oh, I want to get this right. I'm sorry. So $600 for the TV minus 258. She's gonna still owe 342 weeks is how much she's paid off. Does that make sense? Because what that amount's gonna come from 600 minus 258, which is gonna give us the 342 that she has already paid. Right? And so that 342 divided by the $18 should give us, she's been doing this for 19 weeks. And so this would be 19. Do you guys understand how I got the 342? We're still trying to process it. I don't want to go further ahead unless you guys are okay with what I just did there.
I'm good. I was just taking notes.
Oh, okay. Just trying to make sure because I don't want to jump on you guys if you're not ready. Doreen, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm just following along too, writing
Okay.
it all down.
Maddie?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Jonathan? Oh, he left. Bummer. Okay, now it says, how much money does Lisa still need after 7 weeks? So, how much money does Lisa still need after 7 weeks? So that means that for 7 weeks she's been putting money away, right? So that means if she's putting $18 away, and she's going to do that for 7 weeks, it's going to be 18 times 7, which will be $126, right? But that's how much she's paid for the TV. How much does she need still? Well, $600 is for the total for the TV minus the 126 is going to give us $474 that she still needs to pay off the TV. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'll leave that there just so you guys can see, and then I'm going to move on to the next problem. I don't want to go too fast on you guys. All right. Here's this next problem. And so in this problem, it's saying the entire graph of a function g is shown from the figure below. Write the domain and the range in interval notation. Okay, so the domain for this is our x, correct?
Yeah.
So since it's our x, what I'm going to do is I'll highlight it. It's going from here all the way to here, right? So it looks like it's going from -4 to 5, right? But there's something important that we need to look at. Is it open or closed circles? So at the -4, is it a closed or open circle?
Open.
Since it's open, we need to put parentheses. At the 5, since it's a closed circle, we're going to put a bracket. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kept doing this one over and over again because of the parentheses and the brackets, and I feel like I was getting them right, and I would, but then sometimes it would say no, it's wrong, so it was frustrating. But yeah, this is the easiest. This is what I was doing, so I don't know what was going on with it. Alex.
Okay. Yeah. And sometimes there are mistakes that happen on Alex, so please be sure if something like that does happen, take a screenshot and mail it or email them so that they're aware of potential mistakes.
In the explanation, I don't think that Alex said that you have to use, like, it didn't explain the parentheses and brackets.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm for, because there's some things that they take for granted that there's things that you should know or they think that you should know already, and so by the time you've gotten to this, understanding interval notation is something that you should know. So when there are those issues, that's why I try to do the live sessions with you guys every day. So when people have issues, they can ask me. But since we had this funky week, you guys probably struggled with some stuff that was unfortunate that you shouldn't have, because I would have been able to answer those things in a quick second. But going forward, we shouldn't have any more problems. Okay, so with range, then we can see we're going to go from bottom to top, right? So it's going from -5 to 3. And is the -5 a bracket or a parentheses?
Bracket.
That should be a bracket, because we're going to be looking at this guy right here. It's a closed circle, so it's a bracket. Now up here at 3, what do we have? We have an open circle, so this should be a parentheses. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And I like to highlight them with different colors just so I can follow. The red is the domain, and the green is my range, just to make things clean for me, right? Okay. Can I go on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so in the next one it says, here's this graph. It wants us to find the local maximums. And local maximums are just like the top of the hill, and the minimums are just the bottom of the little hill. So this means that in this problem, we have a max here and a max here, and it looks like a minimum here, right? But when we write the maxes are going to be written as only the y values, because it says, see how it says local max values. It's not asking for where the location is. It's asking for what the actual value is. So isn't this one going to be at 3? Right? It's at 3. And this one's going to occur at 4. So there are your two y values for the maximums. Now, when it says all values at which f has a local max, that's asking for a location, and location is always x. So you can think of this location means x. Okay, so where did those values occur? They occurred at -3 and at 2. Does that make sense? They're trying to confuse you with value and location.
Yeah, that makes sense. A couple for me was sometimes it was only one of them, one of the dots, and sometimes it was 2. So how come sometimes they have like the minimums and the maximums? How come there's only
So if you had
like how do you determine if there's 1 or 2? Like I see the 2 tops on that one.
so this one would have how many maxes?
What was that? I'm sorry.
This one that I just drew, how many maxes would it have?
That would be 1.
1.
It's only 1, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just how many how many tops and how many bottoms you have.
Okay.
So once you see the picture, you can see. So if this one, we have a max, and this is a local minimum, right? Local max, local minimum.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go to the next one. So this problem here, to graph it, the way I would graph this problem, they probably ask you for 5 values in this problem, right? So if they do ask you for 5 values, typically what I do is I do this. I'll go x and y, or we can call it g of so I'm going to go with -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay? So if I plug in a -2, what's -2 squared? 4, right? And then 4 times 3 is 12. So the way I did that was I went 3 times a -2 squared. So that's 3 times 4, and that gave me my 12. Well, it's interesting. This one down here is 3 times 2 squared. That's going to give me 3 times 4, which is 12. This ends up being mirrored, right? 0 would be 0 because 3 times 0 squared is 0. And then the -1 and 1 are going to be the same thing. So that's going to give me 3 and 3. Does it make sense how I got those values? If not, please ask. I can do it.
No, it makes sense. And after I did it a lot of times, I caught on to the same thing.
Yeah, it's a pattern. There's a axis of symmetry is what it's called. So in this example, I'm going to go 0, 0, 1, 3, -1, 3, and then 2 is going to be 12, and -2 is going to be 12. And so then my picture is going to look like this. Okay? And you guys know how to plot points on a graph now from using Alex? That's what I would recommend to do on that. Okay, next the next problem is this guy right here. And this isn't too bad, but this is now going to start to require some work by us. And so to be able to solve this problem, what I'm going to do is I'll call this equation number 1 and this equation number 2. And what I'm going to do is see how the y values have different signs. One's positive and one's negative. Right? This guy's got the positive, this is the negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match those up. I want them to have the same number. So that means that this first one I'm going to multiply by 5, and the bottom one I'm going to multiply by 7. So I'm going to go, okay, this guy by 5, and this guy's going to be multiplied by 7. And so what's going to happen is this. I'm going to get 25x plus 35y is equal to, I think that's 110. And the other one's going to be 56x minus 35y is equal to, 70 and 63. Is that 133? 19 times 7. Yeah, 133. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these. So I'm going to do what's called the elimination method, and I'm just going to add straight down. So 25 plus 56 is going to be 81x. The y's are going to cancel away, correct?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get 243 for my total. And then I'm going to divide by 81. So 243 divided by 81 is going to give me 3. So now I know what my x value is. Okay? Now, to get what my y value is, I'm going to go back to an original. So I'm going to plug into number 1. So I'm going to go 5 times 3 plus 7y is equal to 22. Well, what's 5 times 3?
15.
That's 15. So 15 plus 7y is equal to 22. If I subtract 15 from both sides, I'm going to get 7y is equal to 7, right?
Yes.
And my y is equal to 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that too. I was like getting confused by all the way they were doing it, and so even if it's a negative 5y, you still just multiply it by positive 5. You don't do the negative 5.
Yeah, because the goal here is to have them have opposite signs so that when we add them, they cancel out and you only have one variable left.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you want them to have the same number but the opposite sign. So if the 5y would have been positive, I would have multiplied the bottom one by a negative 7. So that way they would have different signs.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's go on to number 8. Were you guys able to copy that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Christine, were you able to get it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Maddie, I'm sure you got it. Okay. Let's go on to number 8. And now what they're trying to do here is let's see what happens. So this first one's awesome. Let's just add them because it's already set up. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to get 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. So you guys tell me, when is 0 equal to 0? Do you guys know when 0 is equal to 0? The answer is always. So this system, no matter what number you put in, you're going to get the same answer for both. So it's a true statement, right? If you have no money, you have no money. That's all it's trying to do. Okay, let's look at the second one. Let's add them up and see what happens. So I'm going to get 0 plus 0 is equal to 4. So you guys tell me, when is 0 equal to 4? When is 0 equal to 4?
Never.
Never. And so this has no solution to it. Does that make sense? Now, if they did a problem where you ended up solving it and you got like x was equal to 4, then they would say you would do something like this. It has a unique solution. You'd find out what 4 is, then plug in and find out what y is, and then you put in the values. Does that make sense?
So for the top one, you would put y equals 0?
Oh, so for the top one,
Yeah.
we'd solve it for y. So then to solve it, I didn't do that piece, I'm sorry. So let's take the bottom one, right? So x plus 3y is equal to 6. We're trying to solve for y, so I'm going to go 3y is equal to a negative x plus 6. Then dividing by y, I'm going to get y is equal to a negative 1/3 x plus 2. And so this would be y is equal to a negative 1/3 x plus 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So thank you. I didn't see that second piece. Okay. Let me go ahead to the next one. All right, now this one's crazy because there's 3 equations to the system. So we have 1, 2, 3. This is going to take some work. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to try to get rid of x's, right? Because I can see they're already opposite signs and kind of set up for me. So I'm going to go 1 plus 2, right? So if I go 1 plus 2, what's going to happen to the x's? They're going to cancel. So what's y plus a negative 2y? Isn't that giving me a negative y? Right? And then y plus, or z plus z is going to give me 2z. And then negative 1 plus 7 is going to give me a 6. And I'm going to call this now equation number 4. Do you guys see how I got that?
Yeah.
So negative x plus x is 0. 1y minus 2y gives me a negative y. Z plus z, 1z plus 1z is going to give me 2z's. And then negative 1 plus 7 is going to give me that 6. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go number 1 with number 3, but I'm going to multiply number 1 by 4 and then add it to 3. So I'm going to do that work so you guys can see it. So number 1 multiplied by 4 is going to be negative 4x plus 4y, plus 4z is equal to a negative 4. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Then number 3 is 4x plus 2y minus 2z is equal to a negative 4. So this is 4 times 1, and this is number 3. Now I'm going to add them. So I'm going to get rid of the x's. I'm going to get 6y plus 2z is equal to a negative 8. And I'm going to call this equation number 5. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got equation 4 and equation 5. And what I want to do is I want to get rid of y now, because see how 4 has a negative y in it? I want to get rid of the y's. So what do I need to multiply 4 by to get to 6y on number 5? So this is a negative 1y. This is 6y's. So don't I need to multiply this by 6 to make it the exact same number, but opposite signs? So what I'm going to go is 6 times 4, and then I'm going to add it to 5. So negative 6y plus 12z is equal to 36. And then 6y plus 2z is equal to a negative 8. Do you guys understand how I got that?
Yeah.
Christine?
Yes.
Maddie?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Now we're going to add these guys up. And so the 6y's are going to go away. And I'm going to end up with, ooh, I wrote double z. I think that should be a 2. Yeah, 2z. And so I'm going to get 14z is equal to, what is that? 28?
Yeah.
So then z is 2. Okay? Now that I have z, I can plug into number 4 or number 5 to get y. Which one do you want me to plug into? Do you want me to plug into 4 or do you want me to plug into 5? 5? Sure. I probably would have picked 4 just because there's just a negative number in front of it, but I'll do 5. That's fine. So then plugging into 5, I'm going to go 6y plus 2 times 2 is equal to a negative 8. So 6y plus 4 is equal to a negative 8. Subtracting 4 from both sides, I'm going to get 6y is equal to a negative 12, and y is equal to negative 2. And now I have z and y. I can plug into one of the originals, 1, 2, or 3, and get x. So I'm going to plug into number 1. So plugging into number 1, I'm going to get negative x plus my y is a negative 2 plus 2 is equal to negative 1. Do you guys agree with that? Because it was negative x plus y plus z is equal to negative 1. But I already have those guys, so I'm going to get negative x. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so it's negative 1, and x is equal to 1. So my answer is 1, negative 2, 2. Because the way this is written, it's x, y, z. Does that help?
Yeah, it's just a lot.
No. Systems, 3x3 systems of equations is a ton of work. It's no joke. Yeah, it's no joke. But that's the pattern that you're trying to do. Choose one variable to get rid of. Once you get rid of that variable in all 3, then choose another variable to get rid of, and then you can substitute back. Okay? That's probably the hardest problem on the test. That's this guy. All right, let me do the next problem. So in the next problem, it's cool. They give us a graph, and they tell us that Anne wants to rent a car, and these are the 2 rates for the 2 companies that she's trying to go with. And it says if Anne drives the rent-a-car 75 miles, which option costs less? So let's look and see. This is 75. Which one's less? Option A. Cool. How much less does it cost than the other option? Well, one's $60 and that one looks to be $45. So what is that? $15 difference? Right?
Yeah, 15.
Okay. And then the next one says, for what number of miles driven do the 2 options cost the same? So we're trying to see when they will cost the same. So that's the intersection. And we see that that's at 150 miles. Right? If Anne wants to drive more than this amount, which option costs more? So it's important that we see what's being asked. They're asking which one costs more after that 150 miles. So which one costs more after? So looking at the picture, isn't the red one higher than the blue one?
Yeah.
So then the one that costs more is, is A. Cool?
Can you move the screen a little bit down?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. Yeah.
what topic is this under?
You know what? I'd have to look. That's a great question.
It's okay. I'm just trying to go through my notes right now.
I can find it. Just give me a second. I'm pulling it up right now. This was what number? Number 10. So number 10 was interpreting the graphs of two functions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Interpreting the graphs of two functions. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. So the next one says a chemical company has two brands of antifreeze. The first brand is 20% pure antifreeze. So I'm going to call that 0.2x, okay? And the second brand is 70% antifreeze, okay? So we'll call that 1.7x. In order to obtain 130 gallons of a mixture that contains 60% of the pure antifreeze, how many gallons of each would we have to mix? So we want something that's going to be 130 times 0.6% pure antifreeze. So that means we need to mix them together. So I'm going to go 0.2x plus 0.7x is equal to 130 times 0.6. But there's a second equation that we have. X represents the gallons of pure antifreeze. And so what we're going to end up having is x plus y is equal to 130, right? Ooh, I should have called this y because they're not the same amount of gallons. Sorry. My mistake. Okay, so does that make sense? The mixture of 20% antifreeze and gallons of it plus the 70% gallons needed to add up to 130 gallons total. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the mixture of them together needs to have a mixture that's 0.6 or 60% pure antifreeze. So just by looking at 0.2 and 0.7, since it's closer to 0.6, that tells me that I should have more of the 0.7 mixture. Okay? So the second brand should be a higher number because my mixture is closer to that percentage. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. To solve this problem, instead of solving it with elimination, I'm going to do it by substitution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for x, and I'm going to say x is equal to negative y plus 130. Okay? That's using this one and solving it for x. Okay? Now what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to substitute that in for x into the first equation. So I'll call that 1 and 2. And I'm going to go 0.2 times negative y plus 130 plus 0.7y is equal to 130 times 0.6. Okay? So then I'm going to get a negative 0.2y plus, what's 130 times 0.2? 130 times 0.2. I'm going to get 26 plus 0.7y is equal to 130 times 0.6, which is 78. So adding up the y's, I should get 0.5y, correct? Plus 26 is equal to 78. So subtracting 26 from 78, I'm going to get 52. So 0.5y is equal to 52. And so y is going to be 52 divided by 0.5 is going to give me 104. So this will be 104. So how many more gallons do I need to get to 130? What do you guys think? If we look at this equation here, we know that y is 104, so that means I need 26 gallons of the first brand. Okay? And the way we could have done that was x plus 104 is equal to 132. 130 minus 104, that gives us the 26. You guys okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's do the next one. And now it's a distance rate problem. And so it says, flying against the wind, a jet travels 4,970 miles in 7 hours. Okay, so we're flying against the wind. So that tells me I'm going to go 7 times my rate minus the wind. So here, I'll do it this way. The plane's rate minus the wind is going to equal 4,970. And the reason I got that is its distance is equal to rate times time, right? Well, the time was 7 hours. The rate is how fast the plane is going, r, minus the wind, and then the total distance was 4,970. And then the second one says, flying with the wind, the same jet travels 8,550 miles in 9 hours. So we're going to go 9. The plane's going the same speed, but now it's going with the wind, and it's going to go 8,550. So when we distribute, I'm going to get 7 and 7. Right? So 7r minus 7w is equal to that. And 9r plus 9w is equal to this. And this one here we're going to do by elimination. That's that's not very neat. So I'm going to multiply the top one by what number? If I want to eliminate the w's. What do you guys think? No, they're close. Is just by 9. They already have the opposite signs, so I want them to have the same number with the opposite sign. What do I multiply the bottom one by?
7.
By 7. So then what's going to happen there is I'm going to get 63r minus 63w is equal to, I'm good at math, but not that good, 44,730. And then the other one's going to be 63r plus 63w is equal to 8550 times 7 is 59,850. And when I add these, I'm going to get 126r is equal to those two guys, and that's going to give me 104,580 dividing by 126. The rate of the plane in still air is 830 miles per hour. We okay with that? And then to find out what the wind is going to be, I can plug into either one of these two guys. So which one do you want me to plug into? 1 or 2? Okay, I'll plug into 1. So then I'm going to go 7 times 830 minus 7 times W is equal to 4970. So this is 5810 minus 7W is equal to this. So that means I got to add that to the 4970. And so I'm going to get 7W. 7W is equal to 10780 dividing by 7. Ooh, I'm silly. I added them instead of subtracting. So 4970 minus 5810 is a negative 840. My bad. So W is equal to, oh, that should be a minus sign. 120 miles per hour. So that's the wind. That's the plane. That's the wind. We okay?
Yeah.
So the template to this problem, though, is setting it up. This is the big thing here. If you guys can set that piece up, the problem will fall easily. And one's going to be with the wind and one is going to be against the wind. So when you're against the wind, it's minus W. When you're with the wind, it's going to be plus W. Okay? Okay. In our next example, they're giving us 3 people. So we have Caitlin, we'll call X, Deshaun is Y, and Michael is Z. And they have a total of $99 together. So that must mean that X plus Y plus Z is equal to 99. Then it says Michael has 4 times what Deshaun has. So Michael is Z. He has 4 times what Deshaun has. So that's 4 times Y. And then it says Deshaun has $9 less than Caitlin. So Deshaun has $9 less than Caitlin. So these are our equations. Okay? So if we look at this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some substitutions. So in this first equation, I'm going to make everything in terms of Y. Okay? So I'm going to change Z. Well, let's change this X one first. I'm going to change this one and solve for X. So X is equal to Y plus 9, right? We okay with that?
Yeah.
So now, in this first equation, instead of X, I'm going to put Y plus 9 plus Y, and then Z is equal to what in terms of Y?
4Y.
4Y. And then that equals 99. So now you see I'm only dealing with one variable. So I'm going to get 6Y plus 9 is equal to 99. Subtracting 9 from both sides, I'm going to get 6Y is equal to 90. And so Y is 90 divided by 6 is 15. So we know that Deshaun has $15. Okay? Michael then is Z is 4 times 15, right? So 4 times 15 is going to give us 60. And to get what Caitlin has, it's going to be 15 plus 9. So Caitlin has 15 plus 9 is 24. And there are our answers for this problem. Are there any questions how I got Z and X? No, we're okay? All right, cool. All right. Let's go on to number 14. And so 14, if I had x equals 7, we know that that's a vertical line, correct? So that becomes a vertical line. But since it's less than or equal to, it's got to be broken. And then it says x is less than or equal to, so I'm sorry, just less than. So if it's less than, do I shade to the right or do I shade to the left?
The left.
I'm going to shade to the, oops. I'm going to shade to the left. So let me fix this real quick. So this is the area that will be shaded. And that's the answer to this problem. We okay? So instead of being a number line, it's a vertical line, and then you're going to shade either to the right or to the left. If it was like y equals, or y was less than 7, then you'd go to 7, it'd be a horizontal broken line, and then you'd shade down, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's look at 15. And 15 is asking us to graph these two lines, so I'll do it. No problem. So this first one, I'm going to solve it. So I'm going to do this one like this, just so you guys can see. So it's negative 4x plus 3y is, I'm going to change it to equals, just so I can not get confused. So I'm going to go 3y is equal to a negative 4. Oops, it becomes a positive 4x plus 9, and then dividing by 3, I'm going to get 4 over 3x plus 3. Do you guys agree with what I got there? Are you guys okay with that? Okay, so then what we're going to get is the 3 is our intercept to the y-axis, and then the slope is telling us to go up 4 and then to the right 3. So I'm going to go up 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. That's my point. So then I'm going to have this dotted line that looks like this. We okay with that? And the reason where it's dotted is because it's strictly less than. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a red dot at 0, 0 and plug in. Okay? So this is something I always do to check which way to shade. So if I go negative 4 times 0 plus 3 times 0, is that less than 9? So is 0 less than 9? Yes, right? That's true. So then that tells me that I'm going to have to shade in this direction for this line. Okay? Now the other line, and I'll do it in a different color just to be consistent, I'm going to go 7x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to go 3y is greater than or equal to a negative 7x plus 3. Dividing by 3, I'm going to go negative 7 over 3x plus 1. So I'm going to have a dot at 1. And then it tells me to go down 7 and over 3. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then to the right 3. And there's my point. Oops, I didn't want it there. Let me delete that. It's a bummer. So this is this line, and it's solid because we have the equal line to it, correct? Now I'm going to try 0, 0 with that. So I'm going to go, okay, 7 times 0 plus 3 times 0, is that greater than or equal to 3? So is 0 greater than or equal to 3? No. So this is no. So to decide which way we need to shade, where the red dot is to the left. So we have to shade to the right. So where are they both shading? They're both shading here. You check each one individually, and then you see where both are shading, and that's where you ultimately shade. Okay?
And then you just pick a point in the shaded area.
Correct. If you don't cross the origin, always use the origin. Because plugging in 0 for both x and y makes life so easy, right? So then they're going to ask you for a point that's in the solution set, and then let's pick one that's so easy to check. So let's pick something super easy. How about that one right there? The point 2, 0 is a point in the solution set. Got it? All right, let's do the last problem that's on this exam. And then I'll post up this exam, but I'll also post up this video if you guys want to watch it. What I'll do is I'll make the exam due tomorrow at noon, so you guys have a full 24 hours for the exam. Okay? Okay, so let's read this. It says, Jan is serving her child French fries and chicken wings for lunch. Let F be the number of French fries in lunch, and let C be the number of chicken wings. Each French fry has 25 calories. So I'm going to say, okay, that's 25F. And each chicken wing has 100 calories. So that's going to be 100, and we're going to call it C. Jane wants the total calorie count for the French fries and chicken wings to be less than 600 calories. Use the values in the variables given. Write an inequality describing this. So I'm going to go, okay, 25 calories for each fry plus 100 calories for the chicken has to be less than 600. And that's our answer. We okay with that? Okay. So I'll stop recording here so I can post this up, but I'll stay on to answer any questions you guys might have. Okay?